The students first entered class, they would work on this warm-up. They've seen substitution before. They haven't seen this exponential growth function yet, but this is just an introduction because they've done substitution way back in junior high where they're just plugging things in, which is what exponential growth is eventually going to be. So after they do their warm-up, I double-check to make sure they're all good with not only substitution, but plugging all the numbers into their calculator. All the students would have a calculator out for this lesson because they need to know how to do that because they have trouble with that as well. So now I'm in teacher mode. So today we're looking at functions of exponential growth and decay, and everybody's favorite word problems. But it's going to be very doable. We're going to break it up into different sections. So as you guys did on your warm-up, you worked on substitution to solve, and this is basically all you're doing for this lesson. This is all you're doing. You're just going to have to identify where these different pieces of information are in your word problems, but this is basically all you're going to have to do. So it's very doable word problems. And I want you guys to be 100% accurate on your worksheet. You'll be able to check with other people and make sure you are on. If you have problems, you need to be able to work through them and figure them out. That's how you guys are going to learn. So out of teacher mode, so after the warm-up, we're going to go through some guided notes to introduce the topic. So back into teacher mode, we would go over, this would be on a doc cam probably, but we don't have a doc cam in here, so I would begin teaching by explaining, so back into teacher mode. So when we have our exponential function, we have this function right here. Sometimes it's written, you can write it on your notes. It's sometimes written like this. And remember that parentheses just means you're still multiplying it out. So this b is going to be in your parentheses, it's going to be multiplying, but first you have to apply the exponent to it. So we're going to identify what each piece in our equation is. Our a is going to be our initial amount. Can anybody tell me what they think the initial amount means? What does initial mean?
Start value.
Yes. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the initial amount is what we're starting with, like Josh said. He said the start value. So it's our initial amount, whatever we're starting with, whether it be number of hairs, amount of money, whatever we want to start with. Our b is our rate. So it's usually a percentage, so this is the rate of growth or decay. And I want you guys to be writing this in your notes because this is going to help, because you'll be able to use these on your test, so these will help. And then our x is our amount of time, or however many times we're going to do our rate, however many times we're checking this out. So we're just going to say that this is our time factor. So this is going to be, if we have 4 years, we're going to plug in 4 for our time. So going down here, and again, this will be on the doc cam, so then the other thing to remember with exponential functions now is our b is our base. So if we have a times b to the x, our b, if our b is greater than 1, remember we saw this greater than less than symbol before. If it's bigger than 1, so if it's something like 8 over 7, 1.25, anything like that, if it's greater than, we're going to add 1 to our rate. So if our rate is 125%, we have to first convert that, always have to convert that to a decimal. So to do that, we have our 125%, and we're going to have our decimal place at the end of it because it's 125.0. We're going to move our decimal place over 2 places to what's our 125, or 1.25, sorry. And 1.25 is that less than or equal to or greater than 1?
Greater than.
It's greater than 1. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
So since this is greater than, we know it's growth. So we're going to add 1 to our 1.25, because can anybody tell me what that would be?
2.25?
Yes. Does everybody agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So then, out of teacher mode, we would go through these. I would just show them how to convert this to a decimal, add 1, subtract 1, because if it's decay, you're going to subtract 1. And then, because on their summative test, they have to identify if it's growth or decay with their B value. So I'm going to give them some practice, so they're going to just look at their B, see if it's greater than, less than, etc. To look at that. And then on the next page of notes, I would go through a couple word problems, so I'd model underlining and then saying what A equals, what B equals, what X equals. I would model that for them, and then I would write out the steps here. For sake of time, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to say identify pieces, plug it in, create a function, etc. And then for the listening and speaking part of this, I have a partner activity that my students will be doing. So this is for you. That's you. Sammy, you're your own partner. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be working together on this word problem. So now I'm in teacher mode. So what we're going to be doing today is a partner activity where you're going to be working together to create your own functions. I want you guys to feel really comfortable with doing this by yourselves. So if you have read or reread, you're going to be the one that reads it a first time and maybe reads it a second time in order to find the important information. Some of you guys have listen sheets, so the other person should have one that says listen. And so then you are going to listen to the question, and you're going to listen for numbers that are important. And then there's instructions, so if you are answering and your partner is asking, if I was your partner, I would ask, what do you think the initial amount is? Then one of you guys are going to underline. So what's the initial amount here? $40. Yes, so we're going to underline that. And you would work with your partner. So whenever it says you, you're going to do it. Whenever it says partner, that's what your partner's going to do. And so you'll switch off because both of you guys will have to read the information, and then you're going to work through the problem together, create an equation, type it into the calculator, and then ask your peers to make sure you have it correct. So out of teacher mode, they'd have about 20 to 30 minutes. If they finish, they can work on their homework, which is a separate sheet of word problems. They have 6 of these problems, so it should take them most of the class period. And by the end of the class period, this is kind of scaffolding it to where I'm telling them that they need to get A and B and X to kind of scaffold it. And then on their homework, I'm not going to write this out for them, but I just want them to see the pattern of find A, find B, find X. And then they'll put it in, and then finally, I'm going to have an exit ticket where they're going to reflect on what strategy works for them for word problems to kind of try to help break them down. So if kids say, oh, I don't have any strategies, then I can intervene with them and talk to them about it. So yeah, that's all I have.